On the afternoon of April 16, 1985, a 43-year-old American man wearing a charcoal pinstripe suit walks across 16th Street in northwest Washington, D.C., climbs the limestone steps of the Soviet embassy, and asks the duty officer at the front desk if he can speak privately with a senior intelligence officer. He is given a chair in a small windowless room on the ground floor. While he waits, the duty officer makes a phone call. The man waiting in the chair is Aldrich Hazen Ames. He is at this moment the chief of the counterintelligence branch of the CIA's Soviet and East European division. His job, the job written into his file at Langley, the job the Central Intelligence Agency pays him $60,000 a year to do, is to identify Soviet spies operating inside the United States and, more importantly, to identify any Americans operating as Soviet spies inside the CIA itself. He is, in other words, the man at Langley whose job it is to find someone exactly like himself. In approximately 20 minutes, an envelope will be passed across a small table. Inside is a list of names. Within 90 days, 10 of them will be in KGB custody. Within 3 years, 11 will be dead. This is the story of how the man hired by the United States to hunt Soviet moles became the most damaging Soviet mole in the history of the United States, and continued to draw a CIA salary, get promoted, pass polygraphs, and order lobster lunches at expense account restaurants for 9 years, while the people he had named were executed one by one. This is the story of Aldrich Hazen Ames, a career CI, a officer with 31 years inside the agency, a man with a low psychological aptitude score and 3 alcohol-related arrests in his personnel file, a man whose colleagues described him by the early 1980s as professionally mediocre and personally unraveling, a man whose 1985 financial collapse made him the most expensive intelligence asset the KGB ever recruited. We are going to follow Ames from a desk inside Langley to a chair inside the Soviet embassy. We are going to follow the 11 names he sold, each of them a person, each of them a life. We are going to sit with the 9 years it took the CIA to figure out who was doing this, and with the 2 women who finally figured it out. And we are going to sit at the end with what James Woolsey, the director of the CIA, said on the day Ames was arrested, that they died because this warped, murdering traitor wanted a bigger house and a Jaguar. He got both. To understand the size of what Ames did, you have to understand the job he was paid to do. The Soviet East European Division of the CIA in 1985 runs every American human intelligence operation against the USSR. Every Soviet asset the CIA has is run through this division. The names of those people, the locations of their meetings, the dead drops, the signal sites, all of it lives inside the SE division. The counterintelligence branch has a specific role. Its job is to make sure none of those names ever leak. To verify the Soviet assets the CIA runs are real, not plants. And to identify any American, any CIA officer, any FBI agent who might be selling those names to the other side. The chief of the counterintelligence branch knows everyone. He knows every operation, every code name, every recruited Soviet, every American ever suspected of working for Moscow. He has the keys. In 1983, the CIA promotes Aldrich Hazen. Ames to that job. 18 months later, he walks into the Soviet embassy and offers them every name in his head. Aldrich Hazen. Ames was born in 1941 in River Falls, Wisconsin. His father worked as a low-level CIA analyst. His path to the agency was in some sense inherited. He was accepted into the CIA career trainee program in 1967, despite a record that should have disqualified him. His psychological aptitude scores were low. He had been arrested twice in college on alcohol-related charges. He was hired anyway. His early career was undistinguished. A first overseas tour in Ankara produced reviews that described him as competent but slow, prone to procrastination, and frequently observed drinking on the job. He was brought back to Langley. He was sent to Russian language school. He was assigned to the Soviet and East European Division. By the late 1970s, colleagues described his work in similar terms. Good with paper, poor in the field. He drank heavily at agency functions. He lost a briefcase of classified documents on the New York subway. He was reprimanded, but not removed. In 1981, he was sent to Mexico City as a counterintelligence officer. His drinking continued to escalate. His marriage to his first wife, Nancy, began to collapse. He met a woman named Maria del Rosario Casas Dupuy. Rosario, as everyone called her, was the cultural attaché at the Colombian embassy in Mexico City. She was 29. She was beautiful. She was also, the agency would later determine, a paid asset of the CIA, recruited by Ames himself as a source on Colombian government activities. By the time Ames left Mexico City in late 1983, two things had changed. The CIA had promoted him to chief of the counterintelligence branch of the Soviet and East European Division. He had begun an affair with Rosario that would, within 2 years, become the most expensive personal relationship in American intelligence history. By the end of 1984, Aldrich Ames was in financial freefall. His divorce from Nancy was finalized in the spring. The settlement was brutal. He owed her tens of thousands of dollars in fees and back support. His credit cards were maxed. He was paying for an apartment, a former wife, and an increasingly demanding new partner. Rosario was, by every account of the people who knew her, a spender. She placed long-distance phone calls to her family in Bogota at a cost of $5,000 a month. She bought clothes in volumes her closets could not contain. By the time she and Ames married in August 1985, the household debt was more than they would earn in the next 2 years combined. Ames began, in late 1984, to think about money differently. He calculated how much he would need to clear the debts and start over with Rosario. The number landed somewhere around $50,000. At that moment, he was the chief of counterintelligence for Soviet operations at the CIA. He had access to the names of every Soviet citizen working as an agent for the United States. He calculates that those names might be worth $50,000. In the winter weeks of early 1985, he writes a short letter on plain paper. The letter does not name him. It identifies its author only by reference to a position senior enough that the recipient will understand the value. It includes one item the KGB will not be able to verify any other way: the code name of a Soviet officer the CIA is currently running. He folds the letter into an envelope. He gives it to a Soviet embassy contact at a cocktail party. 2 months later, on April 16th, the Soviets call him back. The April 16th meeting lasts approximately 40 minutes. Ames sits in a small room. A KGB officer sits across from him. Ames is asked what he wants. Ames says he wants money. The KGB officer asks how much. Ames says $50,000 in cash today, with the understanding that more will follow if the relationship continues. The KGB officer leaves the room. He returns several minutes later with a paper bag containing $50,000 in unmarked $100 bills. Ames walks back across 16th Street with the bag in his hand. He drives to his apartment. He hides the cash. The next morning, he goes to work at Langley, sits at the desk where he supervises the counterintelligence operations of an entire division, and begins the day as he always begins it, with a cup of coffee and a stack of cables. In the cables that morning are reports from CIA officers in Moscow about a Soviet asset codenamed CKS Fear, an engineer named Adolf Tolkachev, who is at that time providing the CIA with specifications for every major Soviet fighter aircraft. Tolkachev is one of the names Ames will, within weeks, hand over. From Ames's desk that April morning, Tolkachev is just another name on a long list of names Ames now considers, in some private accounting he keeps in his own head, to be his inventory. The KGB assigns Ames a handler, Sergei Chuvakin, ostensibly a political officer at the Soviet embassy. Their lunches become a fixed feature of Ames's calendar. The restaurants are Chadwick's, Au Pied de Cochon, and Joe and Moe's, Georgetown places frequented by lawyers and lobbyists. Ames orders lobster. Chuvakin orders the steak. Ames pays the bill on his American Express card and submits it to the CIA as a foreign contact development expense, which the agency reimburses. This is the scale of the operational hubris. Ames is being paid by the KGB to betray the United States. He is also being paid by the United States to entertain the man paying him. The most consequential lunch happens on June 13th, 1985, at Chadwick's. Ames arrives carrying 2 large shopping bags. By his own later estimate, they contain 3 to 4 pounds of classified CIA documents. They include the personnel files, code name, locations, and biographical details of every Soviet citizen the CIA is currently running as an agent inside the Soviet Union. He hands the bags across the table to Chuvakin. Chuvakin walks the bags to the Soviet embassy. The embassy sends them by diplomatic pouch to Moscow. By the end of June, the names are in the hands of Vladimir Kryuchkov, head of the KGB First Chief Directorate. By the end of June, the arrests have begun. On June 13th, the same day Ames hands over the bags at Chadwick's, 5,000 miles away, on the Moscow Ring Road, KGB Alpha Group officers stop a black Volga sedan driven by a 62-year-old Soviet engineer named Adolf Tolkachev. They pry the cyanide pill out of his mouth. Ames will not learn this for months. He does not need to. He has been paid for the name. Over the next 3 years, the men whose names Ames sold begin to die. Adolf Tolkachev is interrogated for 15 months and executed by firing squad in September 1986. TASS announces his death in 2 paragraphs on an inside page. Major General Dmitry Polyakov is arrested in 1986. Polyakov is, by some measures, the most valuable Soviet asset the CIA has ever run. He has been spying for the United States since 1962. 3 sitting American presidents have been personally briefed on his identity. He is executed in 1988. His own family is not told he is dead until 1990. Valery Martinov, a KGB lieutenant colonel, posted to the Soviet embassy in Washington and recruited as a double agent for the FBI and the CIA, is recalled to Moscow in November 1985 and is told the recall is for a celebration. He is arrested at the airport on landing. He is executed by firing squad on May 28, 1987. He is 41 years old. Sergei Motorin, a KGB major, also in the Washington embassy and also recruited by the FBI, is recalled in February 1985 and executed by firing squad in February 1987. Boris Yuzhin, KGB officer in San Francisco, is arrested and sentenced to 15 years in a Soviet labor camp. He survives. Leonid Polishchuk, Gennady Smetanin, Gennady Varanik, Vladimir Vasilyev, Vladimir Peguzov, Sergei Vorontsov. The list keeps going. Inside the CIA's Soviet East European Division, the catastrophe is not invisible. Asset after asset goes dark. Sources who reported reliably for years simply disappear. By the end of 1986, the CIA has effectively no human intelligence network operating inside the Soviet Union. Decades of recruitment work has been zeroed out in 18 months. The agency knows it has a problem. The agency does not know yet that it has AMES. In 1986, the CIA orders a routine reinvestigation of every officer in the Soviet and East European Division. A polygraph examination is part of that review. Aldrich Ames takes the polygraph. He has, by this point, sold the names of every Soviet asset he has access to. He has been paid more than $200,000 in cash. He passes. The polygraph examiner notes elevated reactions to several questions about unauthorized contacts with foreign nationals. He discusses them with a colleague. They decide, after a second session, that the reactions are not significant. Ames is cleared. A second polygraph in 1991 produces similar results. Reactions noted, reactions resolved. Ames cleared. He is, by this point, a millionaire. The CIA later analyzes both charts. The deception, in retrospect, is visible on the printouts. It was visible at the time. It was simply not acted upon. In 1986, the agency posts Ames to Rome. He continues to drink heavily. He continues to send packages of classified documents to the KGB through dead drops in Northern Virginia parks. He returns to Washington in 1989 and is reassigned to the same Soviet and East European division he had been selling out. In 1989, Ames and Rosario buy a house in Arlington, purchased for $540,000 in cash. Ames declares the purchase as proceeds of an inheritance from Rosario's family in Colombia. The CIA accepts this without inquiry. He buys a Jaguar. Rosario buys, by the time of their arrest, 60 handbags, more than 500 pairs of shoes, 6 Rolex watches, and 165 unopened pairs of pantyhose. The phone bill to Bogota runs $5,000 a month. None of this is detected. The agency that paid Ames $69,000 a year does not, for nearly a decade, ask how its mid-level employee is paying for any of it. In October 1986, William Casey, the director of the CIA, finally orders a serious investigation into the collapse of the Soviet asset network. The investigation is given to a small task force under a counterintelligence analyst named Jean Vertefeuille. Vertefeuille is 63. She has spent her entire career inside the agency. She has been told, like every senior CIA analyst, that mole hunts destroy morale, ruin innocent careers, and rarely catch anything real. She is told to be careful. Her task force begins with a list of every CIA officer who had access at any point between 1984 and 1986 to the names of the compromised assets. The list contains hundreds of people. The work is slow. The work is bureaucratic. The work is, for years, going nowhere. In 1991, Sandra Grimes joins the task force. Grimes has run Soviet assets in the field. She has known, personally, several of the men Ames sold. She is, by her own later account, motivated. Grimes does something nobody on the task force has done. She cross-references the financial records of every officer on the list against the dates of unexplained operational events. She gets access to bank deposit records. She compares them against meeting calendars. In October 1992, Grimes notices something. Aldrich Ames, the officer with the most direct access to all the compromised names, has been having a series of regular lunches in Georgetown with a Soviet political officer named Sergei Chuvakin. The lunches were authorized by the agency, ostensibly for foreign contact development. The day after each of those lunches, Ames made a cash deposit into his personal bank account. Grimes pulls the dates. She pulls the deposits. She lays them side by side. The pattern is unmistakable. It has been visible in the bank records for 7 years. She brings the spreadsheet to Vertefeuille. The two women look at it for a long moment, in silence. The CIA does not arrest its own. The CIA brings in the FBI. In January 1993, Vertefeuille and Grimes brief the Bureau. The agents are skeptical at first. The FBI has spent years receiving low-confidence leads from the CIA. They take the spreadsheet home. Within a week, they call back. They want everything. For the next year, the FBI runs surveillance on Aldrich Ames. They watch him at home in Arlington. They watch him at work at Langley. They go through his garbage. They photograph him handling chalk marks on mailboxes in Northern Virginia parks. The marks correspond to dead drop signal sites the KGB has used since the late 1970s. By February 1994, the Bureau has more than enough. On the morning of February 21st, 1994, Aldrich Ames pulls his Jaguar out of the driveway of his Arlington house on his way to work at CIA headquarters. At the corner of North Quincy Street and Randolph Street, 3 FBI vehicles converge on the Jaguar. Agents pull Ames out of the driver's seat and handcuff him on the pavement. His house is searched at the same moment. Rosario is arrested in the kitchen. Inside the house, the FBI catalogs the lifestyle. The closets full of unworn shoes, the Rolexes, the unopened pantyhose, the framed certificates of his CIA awards on the office wall. The CIA director, James Woolsey, holds a press conference that afternoon.
The time for debate is over.
They died, Woolsey says, because this warped, murdering traitor wanted a bigger house and a Jaguar. Ames is charged with espionage on February 22, 1994. He pleads guilty that April. The plea agreement requires him to cooperate with a complete damage assessment. He spends the next several months across from teams of FBI and CIA debriefers, methodically describing every package he ever passed, every dead drop, every chalk mark on a mailbox. The damage assessment runs to thousands of pages. He is sentenced to life in prison without parole. He will never be eligible for release. Rosario is sentenced to 63 months. She is released in 1999 and returns, eventually, to Colombia, where she lives with their son Paul. Inside the agency, the reckoning is permanent. The Ames case prompts the largest internal restructuring in CIA history. New financial monitoring systems, new polygraph protocols, new rules governing access to the names of foreign assets. None of it brings back the men Ames sold. In a quiet ceremony at CIA headquarters in 1997, a memorial plaque is dedicated on the 7th floor. It lists, by codename, the foreign agents executed because of Aldrich Ames. It is not displayed publicly. It hangs in a corridor that most agency employees do not have the clearance to enter. The men listed on it had families. The families, in most cases, were never told the truth. For 9 years, after his arrest, Aldrich Ames was the worst spy in American history. In 2001, that title transferred to Robert Hanssen, the FBI counterintelligence officer who had been spying for the Soviets and then the Russians since 1979. Hanssen and Ames did not know each other. They did not coordinate. They were, for many of the same years, betraying the United States in parallel, selling overlapping names to the same enemy from inside 2 different American intelligence agencies, both undetected. Aldrich Ames gave occasional interviews to journalists, in writing, never on camera, in which he expressed no remorse for the men whose deaths he had caused. He described his motivations, repeatedly, as financial. The Soviet payments, by the end, totaled more than $4 million. In January 2026, Aldrich Hazen Ames died in prison at the age of 84. He had outlived almost every man he sold. There is a marble wall on the 7th floor of CIA headquarters in Langley. It holds the stars of officers killed in the line of duty. More than 140 stars are on it today. On a different floor, in a corridor very few agency employees can enter, there is a different memorial, smaller, private. It does not list American officers. It lists, by codename, foreign agents executed because of Aldrich Hazen Ames. The names on that second memorial are men the CIA had pledged to protect, men whose lives the agency had taken responsibility for in exchange for the secrets they were willing to share, men who had been promised that the United States, whatever else its failings, would at least not be the cause of their deaths. That promise was broken 11 times by one man. He broke it from a desk inside the building where the memorial now hangs. He broke it for 50,000 at a time. He broke it over lobster lunches at restaurants the agency reimbursed him for. He broke it for 9 years. He broke it because he wanted a bigger house. He broke it because his second wife had expensive taste in shoes. The men he sold were not the ones who paid for those shoes. They paid in something else. If this is the kind of story you came here to find, there are more coming. Subscribe so the next one finds you.